So this is part 2, guys, of East Cavalry Field. How do? Hopefully you saw part 1. I'll make sure it's linked in the comments. One other thing I wanted to mention before I get out here, and I'll try to make this quick, is so much was made, and I've covered Jeb Stuart's wild ride around Maryland and Pennsylvania in the couple days, or the week or so preceding the Battle of Gettysburg. It was certainly I don't want to call it a fatal error, but I after more learning about the subject, I want to convey that it most likely did not make or break the outcome of the Battle of Gettysburg. Okay, again, some of us, for whatever reasons, place a lot of, and sometimes overdue, emphasis, and I may be no exception. Okay, sometimes Gettysburg analysts and fans place undue emphasis on certain actions that they consider extremely pivotal. Okay, and usually most of these controversial topics were pivotal, okay, and leave a lot to question out in the open, okay, but very few of them, if any, let me make this clear, really would have made or broken the ultimate outcome of the Battle of Gettysburg. And that's something I stand by, and that's something I said long ago in much earlier videos, is that there are very, very few, let's go back to, hey, what if Stonewall Jackson was there instead of Ewell, so on and so forth. I think that may be one of the most consequential, okay, but few, if any, of these controversial issues in all likelihood would have ultimately affected the outcome in one way or the other. I think Jeb Stuart's wild ride is much lower on this list. A lot of people will try to lead you to believe that Lee was left without any eyes and ears, and I mean it's kind of a phrase that we use, right? And it's a phrase that I've used, but he did have eyes and ears. He had Albert Jenkins, and he also had John Imboden screening his movements and providing reconnaissance. Okay, so Lee was not absolutely blind coming into Gettysburg. Don't let anybody fool you into thinking that was the case just because of Jeb Stuart's wild ride. Again, his wild ride was consequential, but it was not ultimately consequential. So here we are at another sign: braving the firestorm. Dismounted Confederate cavalry armed with single-shot carbines left the cover of the woods on Crest Ridge and advanced across the Rummel farm that we just passed by, seen in the distance towards this position. As our artillery thundered 3 miles to the west, a prelude to Pickett's charge, dismounted troopers of the 1st New Jersey Cavalry opened fire, reinforced by Michigan and Pennsylvania cavalrymen, some armed with repeating rifles. Another important point there, just like on day 1, they forced the outgunned Confederates back. Unable to dislodge the Union defenders, Confederate General J.B. Stuart ordered a series of cavalry charges, but was ultimately repulsed. One other interesting thing to note here was David M. Gregg was actually, if I have my facts right, outnumbered by a fair amount. Not by the world, but I think there were 6,000 total. And I believe Jeb Stuart had, let's say about another 1,000 or so, maybe a little bit less than that, but maybe about 20% more soldiers on hand. But as the sign made clear, the Confederates mostly had carbines, and every dismounted soldier from the Union might not have had one, but many of them did have repeating rifles. The good old Spencer repeating rifle, right, which certainly helped out Buford's guys on day 1. And that's another point worth bearing. Sorry, I could show you this monument real quick. Another point worth bearing is that there's often some confusion between actual cavalrymen and basically mounted infantry. So there's that to be said. Let me see. I think this is to the 1st New Jersey. we're gonna keep things moving, so hopefully I can wrap this up in 2 videos. And there goes the sun again. At least it's not too cold today. We just got through a cold snap. Brace yourselves. Winter is coming. Now, last but not least, let's see if we can get down the road here. Show you one more. Well, okay, so there are 2 more impressive monuments here on East Cavalry Field, but I think the one most folks will want to see is coming right up here. By the way, that was the intro to the live version of Free by Zach Brown. Great song. Alright, so we're almost there. So like I mentioned, there is one more very notable person who took part in this action, and we're about there right now. I'm going to pull over again at the Michigan Cavalry Michigan Cavalry Brigade Monument. And of course that would mean this is also paying homage to one notable person in particular, and that would be George Armstrong Custer, who was still riding high before his fall from grace. You know, all these things, guys, all these events, Gettysburg and Little Bighorn and so on and so forth, you know, they're all shrouded in legend, and that's part of what, you know, again, I'm not a professional historian, but I'm trying in many ways to kind of parse a little bit, if you will, the fact from the fiction. Come on, you Wolverines, July 3rd, 4 p.m. Across these fields, Union General David M. Gregg's 4,500 horsemen engaged Confederate General Jeb Stuart's cavalry in hard-fought charge and countercharge. Stuart's 6,000 troopers, so, you know, I was a little bit off. He had a little bit more than 20% more. Emerged from the distant woods behind you, accelerating in formation from walk to gallop, sabers glinting in the sun. Seeing the Confederate advance, Union General George Custer spurred his horse to the front of the 1st Michigan, shouting, "Come on, you Wolverines!" Captain William Miller, 3rd Pennsylvania, said, "A more determined, vigorous charge was never my fortune to witness. Enemies collided, sabers slashed, guns fired, men and horses screamed. Union troopers finally pushed the Confederates from the field. The attack on the Union rear had failed." And as I mentioned, Custer just received a promotion right before the Battle of Gettysburg, kind of like old Double G Meade, right? Another fun fact is that Custer was actually supposed to be down south around Big Round Top, and it's a good thing David M. Gregg basically borrowed him, because if he didn't, Custer could have had the same fate as Farnsworth. And my, how the time flies by. But here we are, Michigan Cavalry Brigade, 3rd Division Cavalry Corps. It's a big monument. Let me back up a little bit. So there you are, guys. I'm about out of time. Again, Jeb Stuart's wild ride did not make or break the Battle at Gettysburg. Had he arrived on time, it could have affected certain outcomes, but it's an almost absolute certainty that the Union still would have carried the day. But I hope you guys enjoyed this little tour I'll see you on the next one.